But mostly Fair Oaks lives in the memories of those fortunate enough to have been born here, or to have discovered and loved this unique community the way it was.
Name and what year you came here?
Okay, Bill McPhail. I came to Fair Oaks originally in 1960, left about 1970 for a couple of years, came back, settled in the village, been here ever since.
What's your first memory today of coming here in 1960? That's 31 years ago.
The first recollection I have is driving up with friends to visit, probably in about 1955 to 58, and I think at that time all I remember was getting out as far as California Avenue in Carmichael, and there was an old grocery store there, and always wondering what lay beyond. And then about 5 years later, we went beyond and discovered Fair Oaks. I mean, here was the sleepy little village. It was all by itself out here.
What was the attraction?
I think the attraction for me is that, and I think this is true today as much as originally, we are the only village or only center of history in all of Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento has a downtown, but Florin has no downtown. Citrus Heights has no, it's the old Gertrude Stein bit of no there, there. We have a there. We have a village, we have a center, and I think that our sense of community comes from having a center. I mean, there was a place where kids could go, the old, what's now the community center on the top of the hill. That was the old school back in 1910-20. And now you hear stories about how guys crawled out of windows to sneak away from the teacher to go fishing, and they can still relate to a place. But everywhere else in this area has no center. So I think that's what is unique, is that we are focused and we know who we are.
How has it changed?
I'd say for those of us who focus on the village, it's changed naturally in that we keep adding people, but Fair Oaks is very lucky because even 20 years ago we were largely built out. Now it's a matter of taking 2 acres and chopping them into maybe into 4, but there's not a need on the part of people in Fair Oaks to chop up their land, so we're pretty built out. We have I think we still have a sense of community here, so I don't see a lot of change. And maybe I'm an anachronism in that I like what's old, and I don't like to see a lot of change, but how many of us do? Then we have greater changes, but they're broad social changes that I think one of the other interesting changes is that we see ourselves more and more removing ourselves from the loonies down in the city. The city has become a group of ding-dongs, whereas I tend to identify with the county or with the Jim String or Board of Supervisors who have a greater caring for a greater number of people and are not so focused on their own silly antics. And I think we tend to like the continuity of and the consistency of that. What else? And before we give this up, let me grab this tray. I want, as the bartender today I want to show, this would be our prize today of the loveliest dish presented to us, and all of us have been eating it because they look so good. Although everything else is wonderful, someone took the time to really do a very special job. So we'd like this entered in the annals of Fair Oaks history.
Preserved.
Preserved for posterity.